What's up, everyone? It's Scott the Frozen Gamer down in my new gaming area, and I'm super excited that my first video down here is of boom, Panda Royale, a 2 to 10 player dice drafting game from Nathan and Jake Jenny, published by their own company, Last Night Games. And I'll be showing you the rules of the game and then give my review at the end. So let's get to drafting pandas from their 7 clans and rolling them. You heard me right? We get to roll pandas, which are actually just dice, but they represent pandas. Let's see how the game plays. Welcome to the table, and let's get ready to roll pandas. So, this is the setup for a 4-player game. No matter how many people play, every player is going to start with one 6-sided yellow die. The panda token will always start the game in the middle, and depending on the player count, you'll have a different amount of pink dice in the middle. These will always be dispersed from the middle after the first round of the game. Everyone's going to get their own score sheet and pencil that is provided with the game. The little dice bag with the remaining pink and yellow d6s in it can be put back in the box, and the big bag containing all the other dice keep somewhere nearby on the table. The object of Panda Royale is to draft a little engine of dice, so you can score the most points after 10 rounds. Each round consists of 4 phases. Phase 1, you roll your dice. Phase 2, check who earns the pity dice. Yes, that's right, they're called the pink pity dice. Phase 3, you may be able to trade dice. And Phase 4, draft a new die to add to your hand of dice. So for the first round of the game, everyone rolls their one yellow die that they start with. The first thing you're going to check is to see if there's an outright highest roll. Let's say that 2 of us tied with the highest roll of 5. Then everyone takes their yellow dice and re-rolls their die until there is an outright highest roll. Let's say 4 was the highest. That player gets the panda token and puts it in front of them. Then you add up your points. Yellow dice only score the face value, so you put that number in row 1 under yellow, and then put the total in the far right column. In a 4-player game, the 2 people that got the lowest 2 scores for the round get the pink pity dice for the next round, but they'll grab them now. If there's a tie for who gets the pity dice, start with the player to the right of the panda and go counterclockwise for priority of the tiebreaker. There can't be any trading in the first round of the game, and you'll see why shortly. So now we're in round 4 of the game, and someone's gonna reach in the bag and take out 1 more dice than the amount of players and put them in the center of the table. And we're going to get ready for the draft. Whoever has the highest total from yellow dice for the round gets the first draft. And then it goes from the highest to the lowest total from yellow dice. If there is a tie, tiebreakers start priority with the panda and go clockwise. So here we'd be the first choice, and we might want to take this green die and we will add it to our dice pool. Then the next player would go and take another die until there was 1 die left. And when there's 1 die left, you put it back in the bag. Let's skip ahead to round 9 of the game so I can show you all the dice and what they do. So we're in round 9 of the game, and this is what I rolled for the turn. Let's go through each die so you can see how they work. So again, the first die is a yellow die. That's going to determine who has the panda by whoever rolled the highest, and it will determine draft order for the draft. We got 2 points, so we put a 2 in the yellow column. So next is the purple die. Purple dice are always times 2 of what you rolled. So here we have a 9, we times it by 2, and we get 18 points. And you put that in the purple column, as you can see, right in round 9, purple column, 18 points. Next is the blue dice. Blue dice always score what you roll, unless you have a glitter blue dice, and that makes it double the total. So here we got 13, but we get to double it because we have a glitter die, so that's 26 points. And you put that in the blue column. Red's a little trickier. Half the dice, the big numbers, are in white. The low numbers are in black. You add up all of your white ones, and then you subtract all the black dice from that white total. So here we have 11 in white minus 1 in black, so that's 10. And then you multiply it by however many red dice you have. So we would get 30 points here. Now, red dice are super risky because you can get huge points, like over 100 points in a round if you start collecting red dice. But you can also roll big negative points as well. And then you put the total in the red column. So the next 3 dice I'm just going to show you all at once because they score what you roll. Now the green dice is a d20, so it can score up to 20. It can score a 1, but it's your one that can score the most points. A clear die doesn't score many points, but it allows you to trade dice, which I'll show you in a little bit. And the pink pity die is just a bonus because I had a bad last round. So I got that pink pity die and it will score me here, but I got a good round this time with, as you can see, 103 points in the far right column. So that pink pity die is going to go to someone else that had a lower score, one of the lowest scores this round. Just so you can see some of the strategies of the game, player 2 went big with green dice, trying to score big points with green. They got, 9 plus 13 is 22 this round off of green. Not as good as they hoped. Player 3 was going big on yellow dice to make sure that they got first draft picks going forward. They got 16 points there. No one's going to beat that, so they will get the panda and have first draft pick. Player 4 went big on blue, even getting 2 glitter dice. Now, those aren't going to double it twice. It's only going to double the score once. But in case someone trades with a clear die and tries to take one of their blue sparkle dice, they'll still have one in reserve. So in this case, they have 14 plus 8 is 22, 32 points, but they get to double that. So they got 64 points just from the blue dice. So again, phase 2 is redistributing the pink pity dice. Well, I had one of the highest scores that round. Player 3 had one of the lowest, so I will be giving player 3 my pink pity dice into their hand. So round 3 is the trading phase, and you're always going to start that to the player left of the panda that has a clear die. Well, player 2 here has a clear die, so what they get to do is they can look at anyone else's dice, and they can take anything except another clear die or a pink pity die from that player, and they trade them their clear die for it. So let's say they really want my green D20, so they give me the clear die and they take my D20. Then it comes back around to my turn. I have 2 clear die, but I can't use the one that was just traded to me. So now I have 1 left that I can use, and I could try to take my D20 back, or maybe I want to go instead with a purple D12. And then for the 4th phase of the round, we take out 5 new dice from the big bag, put them in the middle, and draft them. Again, the draft order is from the highest total amount of yellow for the round down to the lowest total amount of yellow for the round. You do this for 10 rounds, and then the player with the highest total wins the game, and that highest total usually is around 400 points, so you rack up a lot of points in this game. Now let's go back to the table and hear what I think about the game. Welcome back to this part of the table. So what do I think of Panda Royale? So let's start out with that we need to know that the game is what it is. It's a super light, pure dice drafting game. That's it. You draft dice, you roll them, and you score points. Last Night Games, the publisher, rated it a 1 out of 5 on their complexity level. This game is very much in the likes of Yahtzee and Tenzi and Zombie Dice, Farkle, Bunko. You get the picture. However, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. This game, Panda Royale, I think is better than all of those games by quite a bit. And I like some of those games. I'd play Yahtzee anytime someone would ask me to play Yahtzee. But Panda Royale is just better than those. There are some negatives in the game, so let's get those out of the way. There's really only 2 outside of the fact of the game is what it is. The first is the rule that if you tied for the most points in yellow dice, everyone re-rolls until there is a clear winner of the highest amount from the yellow dice. In most player counts, this isn't going to be an issue at all. The most you'll ever re-roll is like 2, maybe 3 times in the first round, maybe the second round of the game. However, once you get to 8 to 10 players, I can see where you'd have to re-roll maybe 5 times until you have an outright highest yellow total in the first couple of rounds. They could have had it where you only the players who tied for the highest amount re-rolled to see who gets the panda token, and then reset the dice to what you previously rolled them as. This would be more functional, but the way they did it is cleaner because you don't have to like reset your dice. Maybe it comes down to a house rule. So after 3 ties, then the 4th tie, those people, or after 3 ties, those people that tied re-roll to see who gets the panda. Another negative is the notation of the tiebreakers for the different phases of the game. There's 3 different tiebreakers, and one of them is that the player to the left of the panda starts, and then it goes clockwise. One is the player to the right of the panda starts, and then it goes counterclockwise. Another one is the player, it starts at the panda and goes clockwise. I can never remember which tiebreaker goes to what phase of the game, and so I wish that they just made one single player card that you could give to whoever led the game, and they would be able to reference that instead of having to look through the rule book, or they could have just put it on the back of the rule book. It's just a nitpick of that I constantly am looking up the rule book for tiebreakers. But that's basically it for negatives outside of the luck of the game, if that's something that bugs you. But that is, again, what the game is, what it is. So let's head into the positives. The great, good stuff about this game, and there's a lot actually for this little guy. They do a great job notating what each of the dice do. So, unlike the tiebreakers, the way they notate what the dice do is wonderful. At the top of your score pad, let me grab one. Actually, I don't know where they are. At the top of the score pad, here we go. Under each color name, they tell you exactly what each of the dice does, so you never have to look and refer to the rule book. And that, the dice rolling and what the dice do, is the main aspect of the game. So it's really nice that they're all just on the sheet. It's also nice that everyone gets their own player sheet, so each person can do their own math at their own time, and you don't need people to shout out numbers all the time to like a lone scorekeeper like many other games of this style have. The game's super simple to learn and teach, yet it does still have strategy. This is one of the goals of the design and publishing, things that they want to do for these publishers. They have other goals too, and they kind of nailed all of them. One being that they have good quality of components. The dice are really nice quality. The color palette's really pretty. I actually like these dice better than the look of the dice of Sagrada all put together. I love how they give a little baggie to store all the yellow D6s and the pink dice that are only used during setup, and then you put them back in the box. This way, you don't need to look through all of the dice to find them every single round, or they could have just given us a little plastic baggie to put those starting ones in, but instead they gave us a nice little Panda Royale bag, which was not necessary, but adds a little bit of charm to the game. They did a great job balancing the game, which is another one of their goals. This is super important in a very light game like Panda Royale. They made the dice that can't score a lot of points have really good powers, like gaining control of the panda or trading with other people, or the blue dice, which there's most of them. They don't score you a lot of points unless you get a sparkle blue die with them, and then you have to keep the sparkle blue die and not have someone steal it from you. So, and then the dice that do score big points, they don't really have many other powers, if any at all. So they did just a great job playtesting all of that and balancing all of that out. I played this game mostly with my family, which consists of me, my wife, my 7-year-old son, and my 4.5-year-old daughter. And the game worked for every single one of them. My son, he loved the colors of the dice. My daughter loved being able to roll 2 handfuls of dice and not having to worry about what they actually mean when they roll. Other than that, she gets a bunch of points. My son loved the strategy of the game, and there's a bit of engine building in it on how you build up your dice pool. And he really liked that aspect of the game. He's really into math, so he really liked to be able to add up his own score as well on his little score sheet. My wife, who really dislikes games a lot, she'll play with me on every once in a while on a very rare occasion. But she actually liked playing this game because the rules were so easy to learn. So who is this game for? I'd say 100% this game, well, not 100%, but mostly this game's for families. My son figured out the strategies and he builds his little engines and he's won almost every single one of the games that we've played. My 4.5-year-old daughter likes just collecting whichever color is the color of the day for her. And she doesn't get the strategies yet at all. She doesn't always have the best scores, but she's always competitive. She only needs a little bit of help here and there from me and my wife saying, oh, pick this blue die instead of that blue die because this blue die is a D12 instead of a D6. And it's the first non-strictly children's game that my daughter has sat through the entire game. So that's really cool as well. We cheered for her after her first game. The game doesn't take long to play. If you have parents or family that aren't really into games at all, but they'll play every once in a while as long as it's not like one of your heavier games on the shelf, it's a great game for them as well. If you have a girls' night or a guys' night together or whatever, party nights, and you just want to have something to play while you're, chatting or having a drink or whatever, this is perfect for it. It's way better than doing bunco nights, in my opinion. So again, great for those type of just casual get-togethers where you just want to have something to play while you're hanging out. As I said earlier, it's better than all those mass market dice chucking games. In my opinion, Panda Royale should be in every single Target and Walmart and Barnes & Noble, hands down. I don't know why it isn't. It's a shame that it isn't because this is a type of game that just needs to be there. It's just good for what it is. And in general, it's just like a ton of fun to just take a handful of dice and roll them all on the table and see what you get. My son gave this game a 9.5 out of 10. My daughter gave it a whopping 11 out of 10. If I was playing with my hobby gamers, I'd probably rate it a little lower than what I'm about to, but for my family, I'd give it a minimum, a very solid 8 out of 10. This is our go-to game right now. So that's it. I want to thank you all for joining my new game room with my new game table, which is from Wormspan. It's awesome. And thanks for Jake and his company Last Night Games for the review copy. Always thank you. And you can't see out my window anymore. But spring's finally here in Minnesota. I think this week it's going to be coming up to 70 degrees, which yay! Anyways, peace and stay cool. And if you're going to roll pandas, you may as well do some somersaults with them. Wise words of the day. Peace. I just squeaked. Peace.